Protests around the world over China's hosting of the Summer Games and also Beijing's human rights record. But will there actually be any at the Olympics themselves? There is a document that says that there shouldn't be. CNN's Josh Lev spoke to Reggie Key about that earlier.
Both sides in this dispute are pointing to that same document. In the heated dispute over China hosting the Olympics, the different sides keep pointing to this.
The Olympic Charter.
The Olympic Charter.
A 100-page document from the International Olympic Committee. China says it makes clear politics should not be linked to the Olympics.
We hope that the IOC officials can eliminate the disruptions and stick to the clearly stated principles in the Olympic Charter.
The charter says no kind of demonstration or political, religious, or racial propaganda is permitted in any Olympic sites, venues, or other areas. It has no say over public streets as the torch travels through. Many who support the protests say China isn't following parts of the charter. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi and some other lawmakers say China's lack of certain human rights and its crackdown in Tibet violate the charter's call for a peaceful society dedicated to human dignity.
The Olympic Charter makes clear the goal of an Olympic spirit, which requires mutual understanding with the spirit of friendship and solidarity and fair play. We should use the Games as an impetus to hold that country accountable on fair trade, on religious freedoms, on human rights.
Can participants in the Olympics try to hold China accountable? Some French athletes want to make a statement with badges reading "For a Better World." The head of the International Olympic Committee says participants may express opinions, but if the charter's prohibition against demonstrations at Olympic events is not enforced,
this will be the end of the spirit of the Olympic Games.
So now Olympic organizers are having to figure out what may or may not be allowed at the Games for participants or even for spectators. For example, let's say people try to hold up really big signs. Well, it's possible organizers could come along, Reg, and say that's not allowed because we see it as political propaganda, and under the charter, that's not allowed. There you go.
Okay, so about this Olympic Charter, do people actually take this seriously?
Yeah, I mean, it depends who you talk to. Certainly there are plenty of people who have said that they're going to do whatever they want to do. Certainly some spectators plan to go there. The IOC takes it seriously because in a way it's like their constitution. They are supposed to look at this to decide what is and is not okay. So when it comes to those kinds of challenges, Olympic organizers who will be in Beijing will really have to take it seriously. There are, however, plenty of people who have slammed the document. And there's one really striking quote that I'm going to show you right here. It's from a British Olympian who was in the last Olympics. His name is Matthew Syed, and he said this: "Is there, in the history of human literature, a document more spuriously idealistic, more breathtakingly drunk on its own self-importance than the Olympic Charter? It is as if the quadrennial festival, so beloved of dictators and tyrants, is about something more than one talented athlete trying to deny another a place on the podium." It's Matthew Syed in the Times of London. And Reg, really what he was saying there is a relevant point to keep in mind, that while there are all these people talking about the Olympic ideals versus China's reality, the fact is all regimes throughout the last decades of history, no matter what was going on at home, have put on a big show at the Games.
Josh, before we let you go,
Yeah.
I mean, do we know what the punishment is? Let's say the French athletes, or really just any spectator, goes there, wears a big T-shirt that has some sort of political message. What does that mean? I mean, do you get kicked out of the Games?
Yeah, you can be. You can be kicked out of the Games because when you're in that property, you are under the auspices of Olympic officials and the Olympic Charter. So yeah, you can be kicked out of the Games. And for participants, they could potentially not just be removed that day, but be removed from taking part in the whole thing. And that could be athletes, it could be coaches, it could be anyone who's part of any Olympic delegation. If they are seen as in violation, they can be kicked out of all Olympic venues for the entire event.
Well, that is serious stuff. If you've trained your whole life to get to the Olympics and you get there, I'm sure that you think twice before putting on a T-shirt. So.
You know, there's a T-shirt. Now they're even trying to find out whether they can hang flags from Tibet in their own rooms, some of these athletes, because their rooms are in Olympic property.
Sure.
So even there, so there's all these questions, what's okay and what's not okay, what can you be kicked out for, what can you not be kicked out for. It's going to be a real challenge in Beijing.